Welcome back to Exquisitely Aligned. I'm Gina Meyer-Vincent, your host and your personal soul shifter, here to help you define and design the destiny you desire and deserve. The one where essentially you become exactly what the world is missing. And today my guest, Cindee Williams, has done exactly that. Wearing the hats of wife, mom, educator, and a multi-business owner for over 3 decades. She started when she was 5. Cindee Williams, very talented woman. Cindee Williams has many a story to tell, and that's why I like her, of the entrepreneurial family life. She empowers women to take that first brave leap into not just living through the motions of life, but intentionally leading their best life every day. Welcome, Cindee. I'm delighted to have you with me today.
Oh, thank you so much, Gina, for having me. Such an honor to be here and to be able to tell a story.
Yes. And so stories are what I love. I've lived a very fun life with some bumps and bruises, new body parts along the way, chipped teeth, etc. Not because I was hang gliding or anything, but just, life. So I know that we spoke a little bit prior to this session today, and I'd love for you to share the time, if you can start with, what you did beforehand, and then we'll jump into what happened in 2020. So prior to 2020, let's talk about teaching elementary school, something that I dreamed of as a child. And then as I grew older, I realized I could never do, because I think I would quit within 5 minutes of someone not listening, So please, it's such a... I thank you. I know you're not doing that anymore, but I really praise and commend those who step into that role as a teacher in our schools, from, pre-K all the way through college and master's program, etc. That's a huge calling. But do tell us a little bit about that, please.
Absolutely. That's a fun place to start. I actually, my dreams when I was a little girl, we all have dreams, right? And mine was to be a teacher. And I would line up my dolls and I would teach them. I would get the neighborhood kids and I would line them up, and I would always be the teacher and they would be the students. And a lot of them would just leave because I was so bossy, but I would just keep teaching anyway. So it was kind of natural for me to fall into that role when I was in my 20s, and I absolutely loved it. I had dreams of doing it forever. It was my passion, pouring into those kids when I actually had real live bodies in front of me instead of dolls. But, as life has it, I did that for 5 years. I taught 5th grade. I taught 10-year-olds, right before the hormones kick in and we could kick them off. And I felt like it was the perfect age to teach. We were trying to get pregnant. We had been married right when I started teaching, and we tried to have kids for 7 years. And when I finally discovered that we were having our first child, I left the classroom, as I say, to become a student of motherhood.
Yes.
I had no idea what raising a child was like. I had never held a baby in my arms.
Oh, wow.
Changed a diaper, and I'm like, okay, I need to focus on this. And fortunately, we were at a place, my husband had been building his business, and I was able to stay at home and become a mom. And
I love it.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, and it definitely is a full-time job. I don't even think we spoke about this prior, but I have a 21-year-old son who's biologically ours, and then our adopted daughter who's ours through falling in love in our heart. And she is a senior in high school. And it can be definitely a full-time job for certain, and managing a house and maybe managing the back end of your husband's business, right? But I hear you, and I was blessed with being able to do that as well, being with them more than out of the house. And it's such a wonderful thing because you sneeze and they're gone, right?
Right. I like to say that it happens fast and slow at the same time.
Yes.
Because when you're at home with the little ones, it just seems like the days are just so long, but the years are very short.
Right. No, there were moments where I would have paid somebody to be able to put on pantyhose back in the day and a suit and my heels and my lashes and my lips.
Woman for just a little bit.
Yes. But I was able to find ways in which to blend both and to have my adult time and my children time and so forth. And I think that's a lot of what you're doing now with people. But let's keep moving because I like to go in chronological order so nobody gets confused if they think like I do in a timeline. So do tell us, how many children do you have, Cindee?
We have 2 kids. So I always say 2 hands, 2 kids. Didn't want to go beyond that. A boy and a girl. One is 25 and the other 23. So they were actually 18 months apart. So it took us 7 years to have our first, and then boom, came Megan. And yeah, beautiful, beautiful kids. Motherhood was very kind in the beginning years.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's I wanted to just say, so if you are trying to get pregnant, please listen to Cindee. She there was a stretch without the child, and then 2 within less than 24 months. So please know there are opportunities, and all in good time, right? And sometimes it's just like that, because I have several friends in my inner circle who have the same story, Cindee, as you, where it was a gap and then
Yeah, definitely. I think during that time that we're creating the capacity within us,
yes,
the skills and the person that we need to become in order to be a mom. And while it was hard to wait that 7 years, at the same time, I'm glad that we had that time. We got to travel. Our marriage was strong when we had kids. We were able to come together and be on the same page. So if you're, I know it's hard to be patient, but if you're in that spot, utilize the time that you have.
Yeah.
Utilize your hand.
And I love what you said about your marriage, being able to travel. That's what we did, because we knew we were both older and we wanted to get a few things in prior to having our first child. But I was speaking with a client the other day, and it was, sometimes there's no room. The life is too scheduled.
Right.
Work, climbing that career ladder, the things we are supposed to do, the rules and the roles that we take on. Like I read your bio, right? Wife, mother, wearing many hats, wife, mom, educator, and a multi-business owner, right? For 3 decades. And so sometimes it is creating space, leaving these gaps in your schedule. I just wrote an article for a local magazine about, how to intentionally schedule your day, your week, your month, and not just in your business, but for your spirituality. I like to say there's 12 facets of life when I'm working with all those little facets, so that you can create the room for another being or 2, as you have, But then tell us, so as a mom, then I know things started to shift as the kids were getting a little older, if I remember correctly. But do tell. I don't want to interrupt you.
Right. Yeah. So as soon as the kids were born, we had waited those 7 years, and right about toddlerhood, I woke up one morning and I went to get out of bed and I fell to the floor. And I was in so much pain that I had to crawl to the bathroom. I've
done that before. It's not fallen to the floor, but crawled to the bathroom because of the pain. So was your husband home that morning, or were you alone with the children?
was. And what proceeded from that was it became a daily occurrence. And the pain was unbearable. It was very difficult. My kids were young. They were super active. I had a son. And it was determined after many, many months that it was, fibromyalgia, it was rheumatoid arthritis, it was all the autoimmune disorders had kicked in because of the stress that I went through in having the kids. I was on bed rest for both pregnancies for the entire time because they were high risk pregnancies. And so my body went through so much in such a short period of time that it just collapsed.
Yeah.
And so it took the joys of that early season of motherhood to a point where I was really just going through trauma and just trying to get through every day. I wanted to participate and be the best mom and wife that I could be, and then be able to manage the pain and my health at the same time. So it got to be very difficult.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Yes. I having just gotten through living in pain for 4 years, being free now with my bionic hip and my bionic shoulder, which are total joint replacements after an accident. Somebody actually yesterday, a gentleman said, what benefits came out of that accident for you? And I was like, besides the fact that I'm now free of pain and I have these new joints that'll probably last me forever, knock on wood, But I said, I can understand and really appreciate someone like yourself, Cindee, or some of my clients who tell me that they're living in pain daily. There's no way for me to really put words to what that feels like, except for my concern every time I took a step on my left foot. I didn't know if I was going to be cursing because the pain was so exquisite. Yeah. It was electrical. Someone said, can you describe it? Yes, exactly. It went either shooting up through the crown of my head or down through the groin all the way down to my big toe. And that pain also made me nervous about falling to the ground, because I never knew if I could handle that pain enough to stabilize myself, And so I hear you, and more even importantly, I feel you, Cindee, because I
believe that we go through these type of things when we go through hard times like that. As you mentioned, we have no way to measure somebody else's pain unless we've been there ourselves. And it allows us to be able to empathize. It allows us to reach behind us and touch the woman behind us.
Yeah.
Who's going through the same thing because we've been there and we're just a few steps ahead. Yes. And so everything that we go through in life, whether it's joyous or hard, it's all for a purpose.
Absolutely. And
lift others up.
Yes. And, I think these are also sometimes wake-up calls to, what is it we're really supposed to be doing? I just finished an interview with Sabine Kaiser, who I work with, who I think, Cindee, you know, through a networking group that we're in. And she was talking about suffering 4 strokes at the age of 38.
Oh, wow.
And how it was her wake-up call. And I think, understanding why did this happen? What is it I am to learn? And I like to say we get 2 invitations in life. There's probably many more. So I'm open to, if you have an invitation, let me know. Email me if you're listening, and tell me. But for me, I see things that are obstacles that can become opportunities, or I like to say where we are frightened. It's like the rug has been pulled out from underneath us, usually in our health, our wealth, or our love relationships. And then we can become enlightened by it. choose in that moment, like you said, to find the goodness and be able to reach behind you to really hug and love on the woman behind you who's in the midst of it right now, or the invitation to step out of your comfort zone and do something you know nothing about, like me with podcasting. So I did not accept that invitation. 3 different people on the East Coast who didn't know each other, all at different times, said the exact same sentence. "You're so fun to talk to. You should have a show." And I said, "No, thank you," and kept on my merry way, because I ran it past my inner knowing, my truths, my desires, and my gifts. And I said, no, it's not for me. Then I came here to California after this head injury, was suffering with autoimmune called Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid problem. And okay, so we have a lot of connections besides short hair, fun, stories, thyroid. Yeah. But 2 kids, boy, girl. But someone said, "You should do a podcast. I'm going to do one." And at that point, I was a bit intrigued. My ear turned and I said, I don't know how on earth to even start that, but maybe I should, And so I love that this invitation for you, this pain, not that you went through it, but I love that you see how it played so beautifully in what you do now and how you assist your clients, but also how you assist everyone you meet along your way in your journey in life. So continue, tell us more. I know that was a big, probably a lot to swallow, hearing all these different things, all autoimmune.
Right. So, from that, my husband and I, we've always been active. We've been competitive athletes. And so it was very difficult to go from running marathons, triathlons, to all of a sudden, being barely able to move. But as life has it, that's exactly what moved me out of it eventually. The doctors, they give you all the medicines, they give you all the pills, and one pill leads to another pill, which leads to another and another side effect. And I was becoming such a mess that I didn't even know who I was anymore until I just said, no, I put the stake in the ground and I'm not doing that anymore. And started seeing a naturopath, and we started working through the whole nutrition aspect of it. I started picking up, I had kept up with my running as much as I could.
Wow, that's impressive.
It was complete mindset. It was more like a shuffle, but I did as much as I could every day, just one step forward, one step forward. Yeah. So I'm glad that I kept some kind of fitness level, and we were able to work out of the illness and went on to do a couple half Ironmans and, more marathons and things like that. I've retired from that portion of it, although I love to run and we love to cycle, but we do it for fun.
Yes.
All that, but now we just enjoy it. We don't use it as a competitive thing.
Yeah. I am not a runner, never have been, only if I see a snake, and my girlfriend Michelle Schmidt knows to warn me if there is a snake, and she knows that I really don't run. Cindee, I high step in place. It's like I can't. I'm in such shock that I can't move. So yes, I would not be with you running or cycling, but if you ever want a paddleboard, you let me know and we can hop on the board. But being active and then having that taken away, I know exactly how. For me, I would say it was so devastating that there were 2 days that I could recall thinking to myself, if this is what my life is going to become, I don't know if I want to live. And that's not the type of person I am, but that's how constant the pain was, and not sleeping because of the pain, waking up with, shocks up and down the body, and couldn't find a way to, it was my right shoulder, left hip, to lay in bed where I would actually could sleep for more than maybe 35, 40 minutes. Yeah, it plays with your mind. So let's go on to the happier things, because that's what we're here for. But if you are, hang on one second, if you are going through hell, and I hate to use that word, but it is true, I would just say keep moving forward. If you are a runner, use the mindset of Cindee. If you're a paddleboarder or a happy, fast walker like I am, just keep moving forward, because the light is at the end of the tunnel. And really, I love the fact, Cindee, that you went to find your own path for your health, and attacking something from the nutrition side is one of my favorite things, because that is where my background is, from over 20 years ago. So it is a wonderful thing. And you can always fire your doctor. You have that right. And you get to make these choices all along. And oftentimes your insurance, if you don't know this, will allow you to get a second and third opinion at no, except for your copay or however it works. And please refer to your insurance people to confirm that you have the same insurance policy that I have. No, just a little disclaimer that I usually don't do, but I think I should start. So let's continue on, Cindee, because I know that as you then started feeling like yourself again, which I call human, because that's how I describe my journey. What did you see, feel? How did it go? I mean, your husband, your kids are supporting you this entire time, cheering you on, which I love. So do tell us about your journey.
Yeah, so just moving forward, to kind of fast forward a little bit, but we started having some difficulties early on, just challenges connecting with our son. And so we started right the whole time that I was going through the illness up until they were mid-elementary school. We were working with, just being new parents, and there's no guide.
And you know what? There are guides. There are plenty of books, podcasts, etc. But you always have to run it past your own inner authority and say, does this feel like right for me? And each child is as unique as their fingerprint. What works for one parent or with one child for one parent is not the same for the other. So it really is a hands-on experience, like you were saying. Yeah.
It is, and each child is so completely different. And we were just having trouble reaching him. So that was, my mom's heart, and as parents, that was a big struggle that we were having, going through in that time of our life, kind of the middle school, teenage years. And it came to about that 2018 mark. I was hitting my 50th birthday, and I reached that point where I realized that I had not filled my well. I had been pouring so much into our family, how to help our son, how to, be a good mom, be a good wife, how to be the room mom, how to take care of all the hats in my life. That it was everything around me, but I had not done anything to take care of me. So when I turned,
and if you can hold there for a second, if you don't mind, or pause for a second, that is a huge part of what Exquisitely Aligned stands for. And it is so common, and it's not just for women and mothers. It happens to men too. And one point I'd love to make is sometimes we assume that that's the best way to show these people in our lives, right? Husband, son, daughter, parents, maybe you have a sister, brother, I don't know, your extended family, mother-in-law, father-in-law, right? Dog, cat, fish, the neighbor's pet that you're babysitting or pet sitting. But, we have to love ourselves first and really fill that cup to teach those around us how to love us too, because otherwise I had many women also approaching 50, sometimes even younger, become empty nesters. And that's when they're all of a sudden like, I don't know why I should get up in the morning. And you're like, Well, I'll tell you, first you have to brush your teeth, wash your face. People
Right.
are waiting. You should get up, run if you're a runner, paddleboard if you're me, right? So go ahead. So that is such a very, very common and for me extremely sad, like that, but then also very exciting because you noticed it, right? You didn't let it go.
Right. And so I feel like there's such power in our stories. And I felt at that time like this is happening to me. Like I was the only person who had ever experienced this.
Oh, okay.
The kids are outside, they've left the home, they're off to college, they're doing their thing. Our marriage was very strong. We were always very careful to protect our marriage. So it's like, why am I feeling this way? Why do I feel empty? Why do I feel broken? And it was at that point when I was like, I haven't done anything to fill myself up. All those dreams that I had when I was teaching and pouring into those kids and speaking and doing all that, I loved that.
Right.
And I put it all on hold until the dreams were so boxed up and put away that they were in a storage unit,
Yes.
And it was at that point, I'm like, I need to do something. It is time now to embrace life. It's time to take hold of it because I am not going to live the next however many years I have in this place of emptiness. I've got energy, I've got my health back, and it was really time, what I say, to take the lead in my life.
And so tell me about your husband, because I always, and then if you don't mind not naming people, but sometimes, I'd like to hear about how did your husband react? I find oftentimes when I'm working with clients and they start to evolve, transcend, transform, whatever the word might be, shift in a way. I don't like to use the word grow because sometimes as women, we think of growing with and not, we're finished kind of growing up in my mind. It's more about becoming that diamond that you are and polishing it up and shining unapologetically. But sometimes we face naysayers. Could be a neighbor, friend, family member, whatever, somebody at the grocery store, I don't know. But that who looks at you and goes, who does Cindee think she is? Or why does she think she can follow her dreams without her desires? So if you don't mind, tell us about your husband, and then the support. Did you get the cheerleaders, or have you faced the naysayer during that time?
I feel like we get both, and I feel like I had both. My husband, I think, because we both work from home, our businesses work from the home. That we've always been very close because we had no options. But when he saw me starting to really embrace and go outward into the community and do these things, he was very supportive of me.
Good.
But I also realized at the same point, if we haven't been working intentionally on creating women friendships, which is key at this age, when the kids leave, a lot of times our friendships are with those moms of our, the kids. And that dissipated. So the people around me, I didn't have a good support network.
Yeah.
And it feels like the community, the acquaintances I had were saying, who is this woman? She's been at home, taking care of the kids. Who is she? And I was like, I'm ready to go. I've got all the energy. And, so there are naysayers. But I feel like you attract who you are.
Yes.
And I know that I have energy and I have excitement for life. So I feel like those positive people started coming into my life. Yes. And I developed an inner circle. And ladies, I'm telling you, if you feel like you're at a place where you don't have those deep committed friendships, just move out.
Yes.
The door. They have a 52 coffees rule. So every week I take somebody out to coffee that I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. They look interesting to me. I introduce myself, maybe on Facebook or wherever, a woman, and I go, let's go have coffee. Nobody has ever turned me down. Mm-hmm. Ever. Mm-hmm. And I just started developing friendships. I call my inner circle my arm holders because they support me. They give me the courage to move forward. to take on new challenges, and I do the same for them. So I really encourage us to go out and find our arm holders, find our inner circle, and gather that support, because we live in community. We live for connection, eye to eye, not over the computer. And that was my greatest encouragement, was just finding like-minded women who are as excited about life as I am.
Yeah. And I think that two words, we have a lot in common with the work we do, but intentionality for me, I call it in my program, in the Exquisitely Aligned program, one of these sections is divine resources. Mm-hmm. And each and every day you get to make these beautiful choices of how you're going to spend your time, mm-hmm. your money, and your energy. And I get a lot of invitations, love to eat lunch with you, love to have coffee. Not that you asked me and I turned you down, but not at all, right? But, come to my event, etc. And I just have to politely say that I have some really defined desires in my life. At night, Mark and I usually sit in the spa, the jacuzzi on the East Coast spa here in California, and listen to music, catch up on our day, plan maybe the weekend or whatever, life, fun things for the future. And, or go for a walk or whatever. I don't always want to be out at this event, that event. And so, it's sometimes hard to say thank you, but no thank you. And then they ask you again and again and again. But there are moments where I just stay very true and very honest of, hey, my time is valuable. This is how I allocate it. And I think you're totally right about attracting. I love teaching my clients quantum physics. I absolutely love, not textbook style, right. But because that is a little boring after a while. But it's so fascinating, and for them to watch as they shift and transcend and start being intentional with their decisions. Exactly what you just described happens. The right people pop up, the right opportunities present themselves for their business, for their love relationships, if they're starting to date again, or, whatever that may be, even for their children, like, hey, I can help your daughter, son, with resume or getting a job, or I have a connection here and there. And I think that when we really, truly stand in our power, we get to do those things and we're rewarded for it, when we accept those invitations. So I love the points that you just brought up, Cindee. And I am looking at the clock, and it is always fascinating to me because I feel like we've been on for 4.5 minutes, maybe 5, pushing it. But it is time. So I may ask you at the end, after we hang up, if you might consider coming back, because I know there's more to talk about. But I was going to say, Cindee, we didn't get very deep into what you do now, but if you wouldn't mind sharing, I know you have an offer. You are going to love learning more about Cindee, and I'd love for her to share a bit about what she has for you to find out more about, because there is a lot to learn still from her. And I know that you would be in wonderful hands. So Cindee, I'll pass it back to you.
Oh, well, thank you, Gina. Yeah, so through all of this, through the whole process of life, I decided to start a program called Lead My Life. That's to live exceptional and to advance daily towards achieving your dreams. And that's what I do. I speak, I write, and I help women find the leader within themselves, because I believe all of us have a leader within us. We just sometimes don't even know she exists. Like me, I had to find her, I had to dig her out. So what I'm offering today.
Wait a minute. You were a leader of all those kids in the classroom, the job I would never take because I'd be exhausted after 5 minutes of, can I go to the bathroom? He pinched me. This one looked at me. I'm done. You were the leader.
Because we forget who we were.
Yes.
when we remember the things that were hard, but we forget who we were. So sometimes we have to rediscover that. But go to my website, leadmylife.com to find out more. And then if you click the join now, you can actually check out my Patreon community platform for free and just hang out there and see what I have to offer, my articles, my videos, anything that you can find that will encourage you and motivate you to take steps forward today.
Great. And Cindee, I think you're here in California, but I don't want to say where I think you live. I'll let you say where you live.
Yes, I do live in Southern California in Marietta, and I do have in-person events locally, but my program is nationwide. I actually have a couple international students too.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah, that's the wonderful thing about having access to internet, video, etc. So it's time now to pull a card for you from Opening to Possibilities. These are journal prompts, contemplation, and conversation starters that are designed for women, but they've been picked up by men and some of my clients out of work I had been doing abroad use them with their 8-year-old niece because they didn't have children of their own, and now they're having deeper conversations. There is a teacher in New York using with her third graders to get them to share emotions. Mm-hmm. So if it's okay with you, I am going to thumb through them and you tell me when to stop, and that's how I'll pull the card to ask you. So okay. I'm going to start.
Okay, stop.
Celebrations. This is a great one. Okay. Celebrations mark meaningful moments. What occasions do you celebrate? What do you do? How does this enrich your life? And you can answer 1, 2, or all 3. It's up to you, Cindee.
I think this is such an important question because
that's why I'm laughing, because it goes perfectly with everything we spoke about.
Just mention that we forget who we were a lot of times, and we forget good things that have happened to us because a lot of times we focus on our failures. So celebrating our wins, even on a daily basis, just looking back at our day to go, wow, I did that, instead of getting down on ourselves and negative, just really celebrating. But what my husband and I do, we start out in January. I map out 4 times at the end of each quarter, get away for, sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's even 2 weeks. And our one in October, we go away for 3 weeks. And that's my time to write. But it is our time of celebration. It is our time to look back. We go mountain biking. We hike mountain peaks in Colorado. We have a lot of fun, but I also use it because it's very important to do what I call reflect, reset, and renew. And that's what I do every quarter. At the end of each quarter, we celebrate.
I love it. And for us, vacations are paramount. And it was funny because there were times where Mark would say, do we have to go on so many trips? And I said, yes. Now we slowed down a little bit because of my surgeries, and he's had some health issues. And he's like, I need a vacation. Like, but you're right. Being able to, when he was full-time seeing patients, we had to plan out vacations nearly a year in advance to guarantee that he wasn't put on hospital duty, et cetera. So it was, I had to learn very quickly, oh my gosh, how do I plan a vacation a year from now when I don't know how my child's going to be acting, right? From 3 to 4 is quite different. From 2 to 3 is different, right? From 1 to 2 is wildly different. Because my kids didn't start walking till they were 15 months, but it's fun and fascinating, but now I can do it. But yeah, being able to celebrate those wins daily, absolutely. And I love the way your husband and you have always made it an important point of being intentional in your marriage to keeping that, I want to say that commitment sacred, where, the kids don't, maybe I should speak for myself. In our house, the kids do not come first in the sense of, they have to understand there's 4 of us. We're joint, it's not only about one of the children or both of the children and we go in separate directions. We always made it no, it's more like it's a family event or however. So I don't want to put those words in your mouth, because it might sound ugly for somebody listening that I say our kids don't come first, but I mean that in a loving way, so that we can be married now nearly 25 years,
Right.
without killing each
Your oxygen mask on first, right? If you are a healthy unit, whether you're a single mom or married or whatever your situation is, if you're not taking care of this, then how can you be an example and a support and give everything that you have to them? That's what I've learned. Yeah.
Totally. And I mean, we have to teach our children too that when they get married, they don't have to be a doormat.
No.
They don't have to, drop every desire that they have. Sure, life changes, right? Ups and downs. I gave up a lot when Mark was ill to keep him, in my opinion, alive.
Yeah.
But, there are ebbs and flows and so forth. Cindee, you're such a delight. I knew that when I met you. I don't even remember what month that was. Oh, it was Christmas time. It was the holiday.
Wow.
Forgive me. It was very long ago, back in December. And I am drinking caffeinated tea this morning, so I don't know. Maybe I need more of my water. Hang on, I'll start moving that closer to me. Forgive me. I'm like, what month was that?
Yeah,
but yes, you're such a delight. Thank you for being with me this morning. I love the work that you're doing. I love your stories. I know there are more of them, so maybe we can do another session where we can go deeper into another direction, because I'm sure there's plenty to chat about. And so I'm going to say thank you. Yes, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for having me, Gina. It was a delight to talk.
You're welcome. And so if you are struggling with wondering, where do I go next? And thinking about, I don't even know the word now, I forgot it. Women like to recreate themselves, something that I cringe very much over. I think it's more about realigning. And if you're at that place where you're really thinking, what's next for me? You don't have to reinvent. All you have to do is go within. And if you want assistance on that journey, Sabine Kaiser and I would love to help you with Purpose, Possibilities, and Prosecco. If you have a college student that's in that place of what's next, we have College Career and Chocolate Croissants. And if you're finished with your career and looking for significance, we have something for you as well. Till next time, be exquisite.